Before you begin your day, give yourself a moment to pause. Don't immediately rush into everything waiting for you. Put the phone aside, don't replay yesterday's problems, and don't start predicting everything that could go wrong. Stay here for a moment, because this quiet space gives you an opportunity to decide how you want to enter the day. Before the messages, responsibilities, conversations, and distractions begin, you can choose the state of mind you want to carry with you. The way you begin the morning can influence how you interpret everything that follows. You are not starting the day completely empty. You are bringing thoughts, expectations, memories, and emotions with you. So instead of automatically carrying yesterday into today, take a moment to choose something different. Decide that today can be approached with greater calm, confidence, gratitude, and purpose. You don't have to know exactly how every event will unfold. You don't have to control every person or circumstance. You simply need to decide how you want to meet whatever comes your way. Take a slow breath and remind yourself that you are capable of handling the day ahead. Enter the morning as someone who expects possibilities rather than problems, solutions rather than defeat, and progress rather than perfection. Every morning gives you another opportunity to reset the direction of your attention. The moment you wake up isn't just the beginning of another routine. It can become a small personal reset point where you consciously decide what deserves your mental energy. Before you speak, before you work, before the outside world begins asking things from you, your state of mind is already influencing how you experience the hours ahead. Many people wake up and immediately return to yesterday. They check notifications, read stressful messages, remember unfinished tasks, and begin worrying about problems that haven't even happened. Within minutes, they have already placed themselves in a reactive state. Then, as the day becomes difficult, they believe the circumstances created their mood. But often, the process began much earlier with the expectations they carried into the morning. If you expect everything to be difficult, you are more likely to notice every inconvenience. If you expect people to frustrate you, ordinary mistakes may feel like personal attacks. If you expect failure, you may hesitate when an opportunity appears. Your expectations don't magically control the world, but they strongly influence what you notice, how you interpret events, and how you respond to them. This is why the beginning of the day matters. The morning is an opportunity to establish a healthier mental direction before the noise begins. Instead of letting your first thoughts be determined by notifications, worries, or yesterday's disappointments, choose them intentionally. You might begin with gratitude for something simple. You might remind yourself of one thing you want to accomplish. You might take a few quiet breaths and decide that you will respond rather than react. You might imagine yourself reaching the end of the day feeling proud of how you handled yourself. These small practices can change the emotional tone with which you approach everything else. Think about how different the same day can feel depending on your state of mind. You can wake up energized and approach the same responsibilities with curiosity and confidence, or you can wake up irritated and experience those exact responsibilities as burdens. The schedule hasn't necessarily changed. The people haven't necessarily changed. What changed was the lens through which you experienced them. Your internal state affects your perception, and your perception influences your behavior. That is why you don't always need to change the entire day to change your experience of it. Sometimes you begin by changing the state from which you enter the day. So instead of waking up and immediately asking yourself what might go wrong, ask yourself what you would like to make meaningful today. Instead of replaying yesterday's mistakes, think about how you can respond differently today. Instead of assuming the day will be exhausting, give yourself permission to approach it with patience and confidence. Imagine reaching tonight and feeling that you handled the day well. Imagine being able to look back and say that you stayed calm when something unexpected happened, completed what mattered most, treated people with kindness, and protected your peace when you needed to. You don't have to pretend that every moment will be perfect. You're simply choosing the kind of person you want to be throughout those moments. This isn't about forcing yourself to believe that nothing difficult will happen. Challenges are part of life. It's about deciding that challenges don't automatically have the power to control your emotional state. You can encounter a difficult conversation and still remain respectful. You can face an unexpected problem and still think clearly. You can have an unproductive hour without deciding that the entire day is ruined. When you begin from a stable inner position, difficulties become easier to approach because you're not adding unnecessary fear to the situation. Your state influences your perception, and your perception influences the choices you make. A calm mind can often see options that a panicked mind overlooks. A confident person is more likely to speak clearly, ask questions, and take action. Someone who expects possibility is more likely to notice opportunities instead of only looking for obstacles. This is why a successful day isn't determined only by how much you accomplish. It is also determined by how intentionally you move through it. Productivity becomes easier when your attention isn't constantly being pulled in 10 different directions. Conversations become easier when you aren't preparing for conflict before anyone has spoken. Decisions become clearer when you aren't allowing fear to make every choice for you. Imagine waking tomorrow and giving yourself 5 quiet minutes before the world gets your attention. Before your feet even touch the floor, decide that you will not spend the morning rehearsing everything that could go wrong. Take a breath. Think about what matters. Choose one quality you want to embody throughout the day: patience, courage, focus, gratitude, confidence, or calm. Carry that intention into your morning routine. Let it influence the way you speak, the way you move, and the way you respond. Notice what happens when you stop treating every inconvenience as a crisis. Notice how your posture changes when you stop expecting rejection. Notice how much more clearly you can think when you aren't constantly preparing yourself for disaster. The world may not change simply because you had a positive thought, but your relationship with the world can change dramatically when you begin meeting it from a different state. And sometimes that change in you is enough to create a completely different experience of the same circumstances. So before you step into today, don't give yesterday the first word. Don't give your fears the first word either. Give yourself the first word. Decide how you want to show up. Let the morning become a quiet reminder that you are not required to carry every old thought into a new day. You can leave some things behind. You can begin again. You can choose a calmer response, a clearer intention, and a more hopeful direction. Then step into your day, not expecting perfection, but expecting yourself to handle whatever comes with greater awareness and strength. Let that be your starting point, and allow the rest of the day to unfold from there. This is how a day can begin to take shape, not through force, but through the state you choose to carry into it. Your first emotional state in the morning is like tuning an instrument before the music begins. When the instrument is properly tuned, the notes can flow with greater ease. When it is out of balance, even simple notes can sound difficult. In the same way, your state of mind influences how you interpret and respond to everything that follows. You are the instrument, and your experiences become the music you move through. Don't underestimate how simple this practice can be. You don't need to control every event or change everything around you before you can change the way you approach the day. Begin with awareness. Wake slowly when possible. Take a deep breath. Notice the first thoughts entering your mind, and choose deliberately which ones deserve your attention. Before the outside world begins telling you what to think, you have an opportunity to decide how you want to meet it. The emotional direction you establish in those quiet moments can influence the choices and reactions that follow. Most people wait until they have evidence before they allow themselves to feel confident. They tell themselves, once I see the result, I'll believe it. Once everything works out, I'll relax. Once I have what I want, I'll finally feel secure. But this approach keeps confidence permanently dependent on circumstances. There is another way to approach life. Instead of allowing evidence to completely determine your inner state, you can begin developing the state you want to carry before the final result appears. You don't have to wait for success before practicing confidence. You don't have to wait for peace before learning to respond calmly. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect before allowing yourself to feel hopeful. Your inner state can influence the way you interpret what happens around you. Think of the outside world as a mirror. A mirror doesn't decide what image it will reflect. It simply reflects what is placed before it. In the same way, your experiences are influenced by your expectations, beliefs, habits, choices, and interpretations. If you constantly approach life expecting rejection, you may notice every sign that seems to confirm it. If you approach situations with calm confidence, you may notice possibilities that fear would have hidden from you. The world doesn't simply create your beliefs also influence how you experience the world. This is why constantly waiting for proof can become a form of delay. If you refuse to take yourself seriously until circumstances validate you, you may never give yourself the opportunity to act differently. When you tell yourself, "I'll become confident once I succeed," you are placing confidence after the result, instead of using confidence to support the actions that can help create the result. A healthier approach is to develop an inner expectation that supports your goal while remaining grounded in practical action. Assumption is not blind optimism. It is a decision about the mindset you want to practice. It means choosing to approach your desired outcome with the belief that progress is possible, even when you don't yet have the final evidence. At first, that may feel unfamiliar, but unfamiliar doesn't mean impossible. Consider how fear operates. Someone can imagine a negative outcome without having any proof that it will happen, and suddenly their heart beats faster, their body becomes tense, and their mind begins preparing for danger. The imagined possibility creates a real emotional response. If the mind can create anxiety from an imagined future, it can also practice calmness, confidence, and hope without waiting for perfect evidence. The mechanism begins with what you repeatedly focus on. When you expect yourself to handle a situation well, your behavior can change. Your posture may become more relaxed. Your voice may become steadier. You may make decisions with greater clarity instead of hesitation. Other people can respond differently because you are communicating differently. Opportunities may become easier to recognize because you are no longer looking only for reasons to fail. The external result may follow the internal shift because your actions have changed first. One of the biggest mistakes people make is treating every temporary circumstance as a permanent conclusion. A delay becomes, "I'm failing." A rejection becomes, "Nobody will ever choose me." A mistake becomes, "I'm not capable." But those conclusions are interpretations, not necessarily facts about your entire future. You can choose a different interpretation. A delay can become an opportunity to adjust your approach. A closed door can encourage you to explore another direction. A mistake can become useful information that helps you improve. The event may remain exactly the same, but the meaning you give it can change the way you respond. This is where your inner state becomes important. When your thinking becomes more stable, your actions can become more stable as well. And when your actions change consistently, your circumstances may begin changing with them. That transformation may not happen instantly. Just as a seed doesn't become a tree the moment it is planted, it requires time, attention, and appropriate conditions. Impatience can make you abandon a goal before you've given your efforts enough time to develop. Persistence allows you to continue learning and adjusting while remaining committed to the direction you've chosen. To assume something is possible does not mean pretending that it has physically happened when it hasn't. It means allowing the possibility to influence the way you think and act today. You can practice the relief of knowing that you're making progress. You can practice the confidence of someone who trusts their ability to learn. You can speak to yourself from a place of possibility rather than defeat. And then you support that mindset with real decisions and consistent action. Think about a time when you entered a situation expecting it to go well. Maybe you approached a presentation, an exam, an important conversation, or an opportunity with confidence. You didn't yet know the final result, but your expectation influenced how you prepared and behaved. You probably spoke more clearly, stayed more focused, and responded better when something unexpected happened. Your internal expectation came before the evidence. Now imagine practicing that deliberately each morning. You could begin the day assuming that you are capable of handling what comes. Assume that conversations can go well. Assume that solutions can be found. Assume that you can respond to challenges without immediately losing your balance. You don't need to demand that everything happen exactly as you imagined. Simply carry a steady expectation that you can meet the day with confidence and awareness. At first, your mind may resist. It may bring up old disappointments and remind you of previous failures. But your past experiences don't have to dictate every future response. You can learn from them without allowing them to become predictions. You have the ability to choose a different pattern now. This is where personal responsibility becomes powerful. You are not merely reacting to every circumstance that appears. You can decide what kind of person you want to be while moving through those circumstances. You can choose the inner narrative you want to strengthen before the next chapter unfolds. And when you repeatedly practice that narrative, your behavior begins to reflect it. The results may appear gradually, sometimes through small changes that are easy to overlook, and sometimes through major opportunities that become possible because you were finally prepared to recognize them. So instead of constantly demanding that the outside world prove everything to you first, begin proving to yourself that you can maintain a chosen state through uncertainty. Practice confidence before the applause. Practice patience before the answer arrives. Practice gratitude without requiring everything to be perfect. Practice hope without pretending that difficulties don't exist. Let your inner state support the person you are becoming. There is also a powerful difference between hoping for an outcome and living as though you are already moving toward it. Hope can sometimes place the desire permanently in the future. Someday I'll have this. Someday I'll become that. Someday I'll finally feel complete. But living from the end means bringing the qualities connected to your desired outcome into the present. You stop constantly asking when it will happen and start asking how the person who is moving toward it would think and act today. You shift from simply imagining a future identity to practicing that identity in the present. Suppose you want to succeed in your work. The usual approach might be to work from constant anxiety, believing that you must achieve more and more before you can finally feel secure. A different approach would be to become organized, focused, confident, and willing to learn now. You prepare as someone who takes their goals seriously. You make decisions from purpose instead of panic. You don't need to pretend that success has already arrived. You simply begin acting like someone who is capable of building it. That is the real power of living from the end, not escaping the present, but allowing the future you desire to influence the person you choose to be today. You push yourself harder, worry about every possible mistake, and judge each step by how close you are to failure. But living from the end creates a completely different inner experience. It carries the calm assurance of someone who already trusts their ability to succeed. Your decisions come from confidence instead of desperation. Your actions come from clarity instead of pressure. You are no longer constantly searching for approval because you are operating from a sense of fulfillment within yourself. The outer world does not respond simply to the words you repeat. It responds to the patterns of thought, expectation, emotion, and behavior that you consistently carry. When you live from the end, you change the starting point from which you operate. Your thoughts change, your language changes, your reactions change. Even the way you interpret unexpected events begins to change. And when your interpretation changes, your experience of those events changes as well. Living from the end does not mean pretending that present circumstances do not exist. It means deliberately choosing which version of yourself you want to strengthen. You begin identifying with the person who is moving toward the life they desire, rather than constantly identifying with the person who lacks it. You mentally practice the emotional experience of completion. If what you want is greater harmony in a relationship, you don't have to wait for another person to change before you begin cultivating peace within yourself. You can practice patience now. You can communicate with warmth now. You can appreciate what is good now. As your inner approach becomes calmer, your behavior naturally changes, and that can influence the entire dynamic. Conversations may become easier, tension may decrease, you may respond instead of react. Even when transformation takes time, the foundation has already shifted because you are no longer approaching the relationship from fear alone. Much of the frustration people experience comes from remaining trapped in the feeling of not yet. They keep checking for evidence, measuring every little development, wondering whether something is finally happening, and trying to predict exactly when the desired outcome will arrive. But living from the end reduces that constant pressure. Instead of mentally standing outside the experience waiting for permission to enter, you begin practicing the feelings and behaviors associated with the outcome right now. Think about how differently your body responds when you imagine a problem continuing compared with imagining that the problem has already been resolved. Your breathing can become slower. Your muscles may relax. Your thoughts become less frantic. That physical difference shows how strongly your imagination can influence your emotional state. When you repeatedly picture a satisfying outcome, your mind and body begin responding to the meaning you have given that image. The important part is persistence. An obstacle can become a chance to rethink your approach. A delay can become preparation. A rejection can become redirection. This does not require you to deny disappointment or pretend that difficult experiences feel pleasant. It simply means refusing to assume that discomfort automatically means defeat. Think about moments from your own past that seemed devastating when they happened, but eventually taught you something valuable. Perhaps an opportunity you desperately wanted didn't work out, only for another opportunity to appear later. Perhaps a friendship or relationship ended and eventually created space for healthier connections. Perhaps a mistake embarrassed you at the time, but forced you to develop a skill you later depended on. Looking backward often gives us information that was impossible to see in the moment. We understand the connection between events only after enough time has passed. You can bring some of that perspective into the present by reminding yourself that you don't always need to understand the entire story immediately. You can respond wisely even when you don't know exactly how everything will unfold. Living with this mindset can stabilize your emotional world, and when you are emotionally steadier, your decisions tend to become clearer. You can think before reacting. You can remain patient when other people become overwhelmed. You can continue making progress when temporary setbacks encourage others to give up. Believing that life can work in your favor does not mean believing that every event will be comfortable. Growth rarely happens without discomfort. Some experiences teach you, some strengthen you, some expose habits that need to change. Some remove situations that are no longer healthy for you. Others introduce possibilities you could not have predicted. The important part is learning to ask what you can take from each experience instead of immediately labeling it as proof that life is against you. Your inner state also influences what you notice. When you approach life with trust and an expectation that progress is possible, you become more attentive to useful opportunities. A casual conversation might reveal an idea. A small adjustment might solve a problem that seemed much larger. A new connection might lead to an unexpected possibility. Things can begin to look less random because you are paying attention to possibilities rather than only searching for evidence of failure. The key is consistency. It is easy to believe that life supports you when everything is going exactly as planned. The real challenge is maintaining a constructive mindset when circumstances temporarily contradict your expectations. In those moments, you can remind yourself, I don't understand this yet, but I can still move forward. That is far more powerful than forcing yourself to believe that nothing difficult is happening. Your response to an event can determine whether the experience leaves you more discouraged or more prepared. If you immediately assume adversity means you're doomed, you may become paralyzed. If you assume the challenge can teach you something or lead you toward a better approach, you remain capable of taking action. The event itself may not change, but your relationship with it does, and that difference matters. When you wake each morning expecting that progress is possible, you become more prepared to recognize it. When you expect support, you may become more willing to ask for help and receive it. When you expect yourself to improve, setbacks become information rather than final judgments. Expectation directs attention, and attention influences experience. Even uncertainty can become easier to carry when you stop demanding that you know every detail in advance. You may not know exactly how everything will unfold, and you don't have to. You can focus on the next wise step, trust your ability to adapt, and allow the larger picture to reveal itself over time. That kind of trust creates calm, and calm gives you the clarity to see possibilities that fear often hides.